そいつはうちの船長だ。急騰竜。
Welcome back for another unboxing video. Today we have another famous Straw Hat, the pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro. While wearing his Wano attire, which is made from one of my favorite designs, and using his Demon Spear Kyutoryu or 9 Sword style Asura. It's another portrait of pirates from Wa Maximum and made by Megahouse. Zoro is definitely one of those characters that I really wanted a figure of, but it took a while until I find a decent version of him that I liked. And I am so glad I managed to get my hands on this one, because his 9 sword style technique is one of my favorites in the story, and one of the more cool ones in terms of appearance, even though I don't really know how it works specifically, but it looks great. I really love the coloring on this figure, how all of his extra arms and heads are a different shade of purple, and I like that the base already comes in with the figure on it. Even though it's not really unique, it's still better than a simple plain base. I knew one of the more difficult things about this figure would be putting on the swords in the right place. Just looking at the pictures alone online, I knew I would struggle finding the right pieces that go in the right places, since there is 9 swords, which are the Wado Ichimonji, the Sandai Kitetsu, and his new sword he acquired in Wano, Enma. I will admit that I will miss the Shisui, the blade that he acquired from Ryuma's corpse back in Thriller Bark, because that was my favorite blade that Zoro had in his possession for a while, with the Sandai Kitetsu being my second favorite, which I feel like Zoro might replace in the future before the story ends. Who knows, you never know. At least I knew the Wado Ichimonji would be the easiest one to put in, since that one is always placed in his mouth. And I didn't realize it at the time that the Sandai Kitetsu can be separated. I thought it broke it at first, which is why it's important to read the instructions before doing anything. I bought this figure along with the Sanji Osoba mask, and it costed me around 238 USD, which is quite expensive as usual. But it's most definitely worth it for this Zoro. And it took about 3 weeks to arrive. I really do love Zoro as a character, and his loyalty to Luffy and the crew is one of his biggest points. Willing to sacrifice himself for Luffy's sake in Thriller Bark, putting aside his pride to ask Mihawk for training, and always making sure to guard his captain if an enemy is attacking that isn't worth it, along with his ambition to become the world's greatest swordsman. I also love it when other characters see Zoro and mistake him for the captain simply because of his actions, and it just speaks even further on how someone like Zoro is willing to follow someone else. I adore his gag on him every time he gets lost. It's always funny to see. And his banter with Sanji is always entertaining to see. One of my favorite fighting styles in anime are those who use swordsmanship. It's always cool to see what Zoro will pull out using his 1, 2, or 3 sword styles along with his 9 sword styles. Hell, he even has a no sword style he used back in Long Ring Long Land, and I hope to see that at least one more time before the story ends, because I think that's just pretty funny. The figure from the base to the head is around 7 inches in height, and from the base to the highest sword is a little over 10 inches. Overall, I am greatly satisfied with how this figure turned out. Once again, I got to point out the amazing painting job on it, and purple being one of my favorite colors. I love how it stands out. I loved his all black attire clothing that he wore in Wano, and the red sash is a cool touch. The effects on his Asura as he's like moving around is done well. Although one of the main criticisms that I've seen of this figure online is that the face is kind of weird or off-putting. It's even a deal breaker for some, but I didn't really mind it at all, and I didn't even know that was a thing until I got the figure. So for me, this is honestly a 10 out of 10 figure, and the Megahouse has outdone themselves with this one, in my opinion, of course. Alright, so we pretty much reached the end of this video, and I gotta say, I took quite a few pictures for this figure because there were so many angles I wanted to include, and so this part took me a while to select the best ones, or else this picture section would have been longer than usual. However, that'll be the end, and as always, thank you for watching.
Asura, Bucky!
Okay, so a bonus section here. I debated whether or not to include this part while I was editing the video, but I decided to put it in mainly because it's a Zoro video, and I wanted to show off my own replica of Zoro swords that I bought quite a while ago. It was one of the first things I purchased when I was decorating my room. The swords are roughly about 41 inches each, and out of the three, my favorite would be the Sandai Kitetsu because of the bright red coloring alone. However, as I said before, in the story, the Shisui blade is my favorite since it is a black blade, and that alone is aesthetically pleasing. I actually decided to buy these since I am a fan of Tekken 101, and he has shown off his own swords in his videos, and I decided that I wanted to get one for myself. And if I was going to get one, why not get all three? However, I sadly probably won't be buying the anima since these three alone are good enough for me. I have once considered getting Mihawk's sword, but I think that's a bit too much. The next one is the Waraichi monkey.
Get the Waraichi monkey ready for him.
The what?
His sword. It's got a name.
And out of the three, this is probably the most accurate one, since the sword is just a plain looking blade with a white scabbard, while the Shisui blade, as you'll see, isn't an actual black blade, nor does it have its unique pattern along with the Sandai Kitetsu as you saw. The scabbard is made of wood, and the sword itself is made out of real metal, which is quite sharp on the edge, though nothing too dangerous, although the point of the blade is pretty sharp. I am glad I managed to get these swords, and I feel like I leveled up as a weeb with them in my collection. And with that, that'll be the end of this video. Once again, thank you for watching and see you for the next one.